Hello everybody, welcome to Ageless Rock channel where megalithic fans can see ancient sites from a different perspective. Prambanan district in Java region has plenty of megalithic temples. The largest temple in Prambanan is Prambanan Temple, but today we are going to visit Barong Temple. If you look at a normal map, it will show Austronesians can go very far into the Pacific Ocean. But if you see the planet upside down, you can see Javanese are very near Australia. I wonder what prevented Javanese from sailing south. They don't even need to cross the Indian Ocean to settle on a huge piece of land. Barong Temple is in Chandisari hamlet of Sambirejo village in Prambanan district of Sleman Regency in Java region. Don't be confused with Chandisari Temple and Prambanan Temple. They are all different temples. Also, administrative division of regency and region can add to the confusion. Barong Temple is actually about 30 minutes walking distance from Ratu Boko Palace, which I already covered in my previous videos. The locals knew it was already there but never knew how it got there. They call this temple Chandi Sari Sorogado. Archaeologists believe that this temple was constructed between 9th and 10th century during the Mataram Kingdom. It was rediscovered by a Dutch in the early 20th century while expanding his sugarcane farm. This temple was in ruin upon rediscovery. Restoration began in 1987 and was completed in 1992. After that, restoration for platform and fans began. It was during restoration that the statues of Vishnu, Devi Sri and Ganesh were discovered. But that's not all. There are other mysterious discoveries such as boxes made of andesite and limestone. There were silver and gold sheets with inscriptions. Unfortunately, the inscriptions are not readable. There are ceramic bowls, arrowheads, jars and spoons found here too. For now, Barong Temple is basically just two temples on a huge platform. It is facing west and the north temple is completely missing. The temple sits on a large platform which is on an upper terrace. The upper terrace is on a lower terrace, so you will go up 3 levels when entering from the west. This site is very strange and unique. 3 structures once stood here. It is one of a kind that makes no sense. They have no entrance. They are just a pile of polygonal stones on a polygonal stone platform. After climbing up the stairs and go through a gopura, you will come to 2 monuments. The base, the body and the roof is a solid pyramidal structure without any relief. We do not know what god to worship for these temples. How is that possible? The base of the temple is 8 meters by 8 meters and it is only 9 meters tall. I am not sure why this is called a temple when there is no entrance to go in and is basically a solid object. If there is a hole, it would have been called a tomb. There is a lot of things we don't know about this temple, and one of the things is the measurement of the first boundary, which sometimes is a wall or a platform. The measurement between 48 meters and 50 meters is suspiciously too often and hardly a coincidence. These approximate measurements of 48 meters wide and 76 meters long from Google Earth is probably a sacred geometry we have yet to discover. Look at all these temples. Sari Temple, Sambisari Temple, Plausan Temple, Ijo Temple, Banyu Nibo Temple have the same measurement for the first wall or platform. 6 temples including Barong Temple with the same style is not likely a coincidence. This might be a useful information for future reference. Locals call this Barong Temple because Barong looks like Kala, but Barong is not related to Hinduism. It is a Balinese mythological creature. Kala head is on the top of each false window of the structure. Believe it or not, Kala carving is the only interesting carving in the entire site. Almost 9 out of 10 Balinese are Hindus, but Barong is not exactly worshipped by Hindus. In Bali, the traditional beliefs are integrated into mainstream religion, so Balinese Hinduism is very unique. Barong is a mythical creature where during a Barong dance, spirits can possess participants into a trance. Barong Temple is actually also known locally as Sari Sura Gedok Temple. According to Ratu Boko inscription dated 856 AD, Sri Kumbaja or Sri Kalasobhava built 3 lingas. Since these 3 stone monuments are not really temples anyway, you can say they are 3 lingas. So archaeologists say this temple was built by Sri Kumbaja. There is another interesting inscription called Pereng inscription dated 863 AD, which mentioned Rakai Walaing Pu Kumpayoni granted a rice field and 2 hills at Tamwa Hurang for the maintenance of a Shiva temple called Badraloka. I am not sure how all this can be related to these 3 levels mega platforms with 3 small stone temple looking pyramidal lingas, but archaeologists believe Sri Kumbaja is Pu Kumbayoni. I think archaeologists assume that there was once a great guy and all the names meant only one guy. It is interesting to note that you can find articles that say it is believed that Shiva-style statues of 4 gods and 3 goddesses were found during restoration. So I can't tell if they actually found 7 statues. How can a discovery of 7 statues be written as a belief? It sounds like they found 7 statues, forgot to record it, and then they were stolen. These mysterious 7 statues were found somewhere on the map. As you enter from the west, the stairs will lead you up to level 1 and level 2. Upon reaching the top, you will be elevated by approximately 4 meters higher. The top of second terrace is a large open space of polygonal stone floor. You can see from here level 3 with the 2 monuments commonly called as twin temples. The large platform is approximately 5 meters high. It looks like twin temples because the third temple is completely missing. The terrace wall has a strange finishing work done. I would like to draw your attention to the wall for this megalithic terrace. Something is wrong with the picture. There are 2 types of finishing. I'm assuming the smooth surface is finished while the rough and rounded edge stones are not finished. Let's look at the block in the yellow box. It is smaller than what it should be, so there is no way you can make it flush at an angle to fit the block on the right side. If it is supposed to be chiseled and dressed, then this block has to be bigger. How do you explain why ancient Javanese intentionally placed 6 blocks of the same height but different width and ended up too small to make it smooth on the front side? If you look carefully, these blocks were intentionally made about the same height while the width is quite random. But they all have one thing in common. They look like the sides were neatly shaped and flattened enough to look like almost without any gap. This section of the terrace is also not making sense. There are 10 horizontal layers. The finished stones are at the top. As builders of this structure, it will be a nightmare if you make a mistake on any of the stones at the bottom. Dressing of the stones should be done from the bottom, 1 layer at a time. Everyone relates polygonal stones to stability of the structure, but this very small thumb-sized notch is not going to make this platform more stable. It looks like as if it is there because it was easier to mold it when it was soft than getting a new block. The two finished stones on top joins two unfinished stones below with a little notch. All four sides have no gap. You can see by now, getting a perfect height for each block is not required. You can stack the layers with stone with approximate thickness, and stone melting technology will take care of minor details and closes the gaps. If you look at this corner in detail, you can see that something is wrong with the picture. The bottom stones were meant to be extra nice. The end pieces on the right were completed while those on the left were not, but the unfinished blocks had no chisel marks, which means it was not done by chisel. Since they are at the bottom, that means there is no margin for mistake because they are polygonal blocks. The second layer was definitely meant to make a step design to make it look like a frame, but the corner block is neatly done while the rest on the left is not finished, even though you can see it was meant to have a frame design. The unfinished blocks have no chisel marks. It is as if it was meant to be done when they were soft like dough. Look at the close-up view of this picture. The unfinished stones were stacked without mortar and already had no space between two blocks. But even more weird is that block 1 has an edge smaller than a thumb, just to fit block 2, while block 3 remains unfinished. All three were perfectly fitted without any gap. That means it was not done by chisel. The unknown ancient builders were able to construct this monument with a technology we will never know. Look at the edge of the corner. It was nicely done with precision after rough and unfinished stones were stacked. Very likely, the Shou-Qiu Pyramid at Mausoleum of Shaohao in Shandong Province in China was built by the same unknown ancient builders. I am very sure Chinese don't chisel pyramids from granite because if they do, they would have done it for Mausoleum of Shaohao in 12th century instead of unknown longevity hill. So, the next time you visit this site, make sure you put on your megalithic lens and see things from another perspective. That's all for now and see you next time. Sekian, terima kasih.